Hey, this is Arttu Silvast. I'm a Finnish composer and an emergence audio artist. I'm normally based in Helsinki, Finland. I work with all sorts of media productions, including documentary films, TV soundtracks, and podcasts. I also make music as a solo artist. In this video, I wanted to demonstrate how I'm using the Emergence audio instruments. I'm using the latest version of the Kontakt player as well as the Logic Pro X. Let's first have a listen to the track. All right, let's see what's happening here. Let's start with the Soprano Textures, which I've used as the lead instrument in the track. The sound you're hearing here is the Soprano Textures main vibrato patch. The vibrato can be controlled with the modulation wheel. Now what I've done here is that I've automated the modulation to provide some movement in the vibrato. Also done some automation to the expression. What the modulation is actually doing, it's controlling the rate of the LFO, which is then connected to the pitch knobs for both sides of the engine. There's also slight left-right panning to give the sound a nice wide feel. The second Soprano Textures is providing some harmony for the main melody. The sound is a preset called Hum Drone from the Infinite Paths folder. And in this case you can already see the engine working a little bit more. You can see there are two source sounds, which are actually the same sound. Although the one on the right is pitched 12 steps lower than the one on the left. Now there's a harmonic movement here as the engine is mixing the lowered source sound and the normal source sound together. Again, there's some soft panning here, which also creates a movement in the stereo image. Now in this case, I've also automated the modulation, so I'm actually controlling the crossfade by controlling the modulation. I also added some expression. Okay, let's jump to the third Soprano Textures, which is a preset called Rapid Currents. You can find it in the Pulses preset folder. Now in this example, we start to see the Soprano Textures moving a bit out of the natural human voice department. So let's have a listen. As you can see, the Infinite Motion engine here is creating this very fast tremolo effect. And it's being done by two means. The first one is mixing the source sounds together very fast, and the second one is the low pass filter that's also pulsating very rapidly. And this is all being controlled by the LFO. So let's take a listen what this sounds like without the filter. And now with the filter on. As you can see, as I'm altering the cutoff here, it's also affecting the left side of the engine. Once you've linked the controls, it affects all of the controls on both sides. And when you unlink it, you can play with the other side. Very simple. And on this patch, I actually made some effects automation. I wanted to manually control the amount of reverb. As you can see from the curve, I let my children do the drawing here, so to say. This is to demonstrate that it's very easy to map a MIDI controller with the engine. Just click the right button from your mouse and assign it to a MIDI CC and through that to a MIDI controller. And then with the MIDI controller, you can just play it in live like I did here. Okay, and let's move over to the next section, which is the string department. I have two violin textures here, and I've used them for a certain purpose. Let's take a listen first. Now what we're listening here is a preset called Broken Harmonic. It can be found in the Infinite Pads preset folder. And what it's doing, it's mixing two source sounds together, which are sul ponticello, mute, and sul ponticello. Now the idea here is to move from a more settled sul ponticello sound to a more scratchy and noisy sul pont sound. As for the cue, the idea is to bring some sort of horror or organic element on top of the more softer vocal and the synths. Again, the movement here is being provided with the crossfade, and then there's some resonance movement on the right side. Both are linked to the LFO. There's also some effects being used here, which might be a bit unusual for a string sound, but what you see here is the distortion being linked to the LFO. There's also some tape saturation, and of course, lots of reverb. There's actually plenty of reverb to choose from, lots of classic models like Lexicons and others. In this particular cue, I'm only using the built-in reverb department in every instrument. Then the second violin texture here sort of provides the ending sweep to the whole cue. It's a really cool preset called As We Sway. Very quiet, a bit dusty. You can find it in the Infinite Pads folder. It's two flaut and a mute sounds, which are both pitched 12 steps down. It's also semi-hard panned left-right to give it a very nice wide feel. Now in this cue I've used a preset from the higher register, but it also sounds very nice when you start playing around with chords, for example. I think this sound has a very strong Sigur Rós harmony type of vibe to it. They're from Iceland. Now let's move over to my favorite part, which is the quantum. I've used two of them, and the first one here I used as a bass. The sound is actually the main pads as you open it. I think I added a little bit of distortion, but otherwise it sounds like this when you open it up. Now there are two source sounds here, the Destiny Cloud and Frozen in the Sky. And the Destiny Cloud is providing this gritty, nasty overlay to the sound. As the Frozen in the Sky is a more subby kind of mid-range sound. So the combination is very nice, which I think is actually meant to be used as pad. Let's try that. Easy to get carried away with this. Okay, let's take a look at the final element of the cue, which is a quantum preset called In a Loop. Now this preset uses the engine in a very innovative way. Again, there's two sounds mixed together, and the one on the left is a bass one, and the crossfade is bringing it in on top of the quantum leap sound in this pulsating form. Of course, being controlled by the LFO. Also some panning left-right to make it nice and wide. Okay, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this cue. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If so, give it a like, and please remember to subscribe to the Emergence Audio YouTube channel. If you don't want to miss the next video, ding the bell. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Thank you.